Okay, good morning, everybody. You can step a little closer. It won't bite you, you know? We made this safe. So, this is our live line electrical safety exhibit. This is the start of our 4th year with this presentation. Our target audience is our first responders. First responders are obviously first on scene when it comes to house fires, vehicles in the utility poles, those kind of things. And this is meant to educate them on the dangers they face, what they should and should not be doing. And we also take this out, obviously, to our contractors, any large companies, and then community events. It's very educational. I have 184 presentations on my calendar for this year, and I'm already taking 2020 reservations and have quite a few on my calendar for next year. So it's become very popular, and we get a lot of good feedback from it. So hopefully you can take a little something away from today. And for the field workers that are out there, they're working around our facilities every day, and they need to understand what they're working next to and up against, so that they can stay safe. So with me today, Steve Kraus. Steve and I are both part of public safety. We're responsible for our underground. That's our day job, making sure contractors and homeowners make the 811 call. And then we do presentations like this. Most of our presentations are in the evening to our first responders. Billy Kropa, he works out of our Lehigh division, and is on the second shift with our troublemen. So they're my qualified watchmen. My name is Doug Haupt. Again, I'm part of public safety, damage prevention. And again, thanks for coming out this morning. So we'll get started here. What you see behind us is a mock-up version of our single-phase 7,200 volt system. Top wire you see on anybody's system, because I believe we're in Pico territory here. But the top wire you see is the energized wire, okay? That's what's carrying the voltage. As you come down the pole, the next wire down becomes the neutral or the ground wire, if you will. That is our space. That's the electric space on a pole, okay? We must reside within that space. You'll notice the transformers, transformer on your right, transformer on your left, and our center device. This one is a vacuum recloser, which we'll talk about. But that's our space. Anything below that system neutral becomes communication lines, not ours, okay? So we get many calls, especially after storms, trees on wires, and when we get out there, it's actually below us and laying on communication lines. The big green box that you see here, transformer underground, which we'll talk about. A lot of you may have those in your developments, depending on where you live. Everything you see overhead, we have below the ground as well, okay? We'll talk about that. If you are in need of assistance from us for anything, on all of our poles is a 10-digit number, much like that tag right there. That is the best information you can give us if you need assistance from us. All of our trucks are equipped with computers. They can plug that number in, first off get directions, but more importantly, they can find the nearest sectionalizing device to your scene, okay? Which may allow us to do sectionalizing before we even get to you and save a lot of time, especially in an emergency situation, okay? And if you didn't know, that number right there is actually a state plane NAD 29 number and can be converted to state plane and latitude longitude. If you are remote and you have to require assistance via life flight, whatever it may be, the top number is your easting. You add a 2 to the beginning and a 0 to the end. Bottom number would be an S down this way. It's your southern number. You add a 0 to the end. That is your state plane coordinate, which then you can download the free app and convert to latitude, longitude. So just another avenue to help you if you're out remote and need some assistance. So that's our system. Again, every system is a little different voltage-wise, but it doesn't matter if it's 7,200, if it's 12,000, 13,000, 23,000, 34K. 34.5, 13.2 in Pico, so, and 4,800 Delta. Okay, so again, we all operate on a little bit different voltages, but they'll all injure you or worse. Okay, doesn't matter. We'll talk about that. Okay, safety-wise, we tell everybody, obviously, don't touch any kind of down wire. Okay, but what allows us to do the work we do every day? That's what we call our PP, personal protective equipment. Rubber gloves, rubber sleeves, rubber overshoes, FR clothing, hard hat glasses, ear protection. The most important stuff, the rubber gloves, rubber sleeves. For us, we test ours in our lab internally, and we test them every 3 months. They're tested to 15,000 volts, and they're tested for a pinhole. Because ultimately, a pinhole in that rubber glove right there will allow electricity to pass through into me, injuring me or possibly killing me. A pinhole. So we treat these like gold, okay? We cannot pass our gloves off to our partner to use. These are my gloves and my gloves only. This is what allows us to do the work we do every day, okay? Nothing you have in your possession, unless you're a qualified electrical worker, nothing you have in your possession will allow you to touch any type of electrical facility. That electrical facility could be a phone line, and we'll talk about that, okay? Treat every wire you see as a downed electric wire. Treat it as energized until your electric company gets there and tells you it is out and grounded. Out and grounded is what it needs to be for it to be safe to do something, okay? Very important. If they're not telling you that, ask. Is it out and grounded? Okay? Anybody have a generator at home? Couple? Yeah, we are in Pico, right? We're in Pico. I had to throw it in there. Okay, so if you have that generator, hopefully it's hooked up by a qualified electrical worker and you understand what you need to do for that generator to operate should you lose power. It's very important. Every storm we encounter a customer that is backfeeding the system. So if you have that generator, understanding what you need to do to operate the generator, and this is why. Again, every storm, a customer is found to be backfeeding our system. That transformer designed to take 7,200 volts, step it down. In the front bin is my piece of wire, my secondary, and step it down 120, 240 to bring it into your home, okay? If you have that generator and you don't understand how it operates and what you need to do with that generator, throw to disconnect, a lot of Generacs out there, all different kind of different scenarios for that generator. But that transformer will work in the opposite direction. If you send energy back out your service wire to that transformer, it will work in the opposite direction and it will step voltage up on our system to 7,200 volts. Okay? This is what's important. When we come out, you call us because you're out of power. The first thing we do is we ground the line. We never work a line energized from the ground. We ground the line and we work between grounds. So wherever the outage is, we hang grounds on this side and hang grounds on this side. If you're backfeeding the system, you could injure us or possibly kill us. And we could do a lot of damage inside your home because we're going to ground you out. So it's very important, understanding if you have that generator, what you need to do, okay? It's exactly what we're doing here today. We got a generator running in the background. We are backfeeding that transformer, and today we're going to operate this at 7,200 volts. And we're going to walk through about 10 different scenarios on what you could face as a contractor, as a homeowner, okay? It's very dangerous. Alrighty, so first up, Carl the Crow, as we call him, bird on a wire. You see it every day, right? How can the bird sit on a wire never be electrified? Anybody? He's not a path to ground. I know you were going to say it, right? He's not a path to ground, okay? that bird can sit up there all day long, as could I stand on that wire if I was a little younger and lighter, and balance myself, okay? And I would not be electrified. It's not until he becomes a path to ground. He is sitting right next to what we call an insulator. It's a polymer insulator today, used to be porcelain. That insulator, there's 4 of them across the top, so it's actually stopping the flow of electricity into the pole. If we have to go around the pole, much like the center device, we jumper around the front. I can't show you here because that's 230,000 volts above us. So we jumper around, go over top, but that insulator is what stops the flow. In this case, Carl the Crow, sitting up there, was a long ride down here for me, and he reaches across and grabs a hold of a bug. What are they called today? What's the... Spotted lanternfly, okay? Big spotted lanternfly that's down this way, I'm sure. Lands on that insulator. He reaches across to grab that spotted lanternfly, and he becomes a path of ground. So this first demonstration, first couple, are just to demonstrate how the system reacts via animals. Folks, this will get your attention, okay? If you have hearing aids, you may want to plug your ears. Hot. Clear. What'd you jump for? All right. So, a lot of folks think, you ever see storms coming in from the west and you see the blue flash at night? Okay, it's getting dusk and you see all those blue flashes. A lot of folks call us and say you blew up the transformer. And we got to call you, right? Because it's on the ground lane. No. We are blowing a fuse, okay? You saw the throttle open there? Inside of that throttle is a fuse link, okay? Much like in your home. If you do something with a receptacle, what happens? You trip a breaker, right? You protect the home via breakers. We protect our system with fusing. We're not blowing up transformers. We're blowing up a $2 fuse, not a $2,000 transformer, okay? So the system reacts, and you're out of power until we get out there. Next one up, if you know or happen to talk to a lineman, what would he tell you is his favorite woodland creature? Squirrel. Squirrels impact our system every day, 365 days a year. We're called out, 2 a.m., okay? You call us, your lights go out. We're going to go out, and 9 times out of 10, we're going to find what's left of Sammy the squirrel at the bottom of the pole. Okay, and for us, we're going to refuse and go home. Linemen like them for that reason, because it's 2 a.m. But again, they're impacting our system every day. See them dancing out across the wires. Again, not being electrified, but we're going to talk about this service wire. You see how this one has been compromised right there? A little bit more here, but what do you think caused that? Squirrel, or this rubbing up against the tree for years, okay? Compromising that. But again, so this one is just a simple demonstration just to show you how animals impact everyone's system. Hot, Bill. We tricked you. That's only a 1 kVA transformer. All right. No more loud bangs. Next up, our center device. This one's a vacuum recloser. And we have oil circuit reclosers. And the newest devices that we are installing today are called Vipers. That's what the manufacturer calls them. We are placing 1 Viper per every 500 customers on the system. We have probably over 5,000 Vipers on our system currently, and just recently installed our first one on the single phase line. So that is about reliability, okay? Tree comes down on the wire, and that device will cycle. Did you ever get home, sit down with your family to have dinner, and the lights go out? Say a few choice words, the lights come back on, yay! Then they go back out, then they go back on. How many times? Our first responders know. 3. When I ask, our first responders know 3 times. That's what's scary. They know it's 3 times. 3 times that device will cycle through and go to lockout, which means, yes, the power is out. But here's what's important. That device is a mechanical device, can and does fail. The newest devices, which are called the Vipers. Those devices, we do not physically have to go out and operate anymore. It's about smart grid technology. We're all standing out here with phones in our hands, right? So it's about providing a safe, reliable system for our customers. The tree comes down, it operates, resets, sends energy back out the line, senses the tree, comes back, trips, resets 3 times, boom, boom, boom. 3rd time, we go to lockout. System operators for us in Allentown, sitting in Allentown, they can physically operate these newest devices with a mouse click and reset that device and energize the system. And if in your mind you're thinking, okay, we know the device operated 3 times, we're okay to go over and start our work in doing what you do, okay? Maybe having to move a line, move it out of the way. They told us once the line goes out of power, we can do what we need to do, okay? You should never do that. First off, wait for us to tell you it's out and grounded. If you happen to be a first responder, you may think, okay, lights went out, we can get in to help the people that are wrapped around the utility pole. And just by a mouse click, our system operators can energize the system. And if you're in the zone, you could get yourself in trouble. So again, the importance of waiting for us to get there and tell you the line is out and grounded. Out and grounded. That's what you should hear from us or any utility company before you start work. So here we go. We're going to show you. We're hot. Again, tree branch comes down across, phase and neutral. Yeah, your dusk to dawn light is your indicator, okay? That's what's going to show you and indicate. If you can't hear the device operating, it'll cycle through 3 times and go to lockout, okay? So the first couple, again, just on the system, that one there, probably the most important one in doing what you do for us or for anybody, making sure line is out and grounded before you do what you need to do. Okay. Got to do a little switch over. Let's talk about the small amount of electricity that it actually takes to injure us or kill us, plain and simple. So, any qualified electrical worker? Anybody? Okay. Who's changed a receptacle, let's say, in a dining room? Who's changed a receptacle in a dining room? Now, wait, I didn't have a qualified person here just a second ago. Yes, we've all changed a receptacle in our dining room. Okay, here's the important part. Of those that changed that receptacle, how many of you got buzz, wrapped, shocked, and or electrocuted when you did it? Come on, there's always one. Okay. So this is what we can tell you is that we cheated death that day, myself included. Okay, we cheated death, and this is why. You can Google this. It's not me standing here talking to you. Science tells us that anywhere from 50 to 100 milliamps of electricity, 1/1000th of an amp, is enough electricity to stop our hearts, injure us, or kill us. We changed the receptacle in a dining room. What is that controlled by in the breaker box generally? 15 amp breaker, maybe a 20 amp breaker. When we got buzz, wrapped, or shocked in doing that, 15 amps of fault current passed through our body. 15 amps to go back and trip the breaker. 50 milliamps is enough electricity to stop our heart. Okay? Now, we know you're going to continue to do it, okay? So all we ask is that you take the short walk to the basement or the garage and turn off the receptacle before you do it. Now, when you look and you open the panel box, it's going to say dining room. Do you trust the label? Absolutely not. The gentleman back there is shaking his head vigorously. Absolutely. Unless you built the home and did it all yourself, do not trust the label. Go to the local hardware store and buy the $10 tester. And when you walk back upstairs, test the receptacle before you change it out. And it could save your life. And I tell a couple stories today, okay, and that one was because it was actually true. But a gentleman changing a receptacle in his dining room got buzzed, shocked, electrocuted. He stood up, we think, to go and turn off the breaker, check the breaker in the basement. He was able to make 3 steps before he fell over dead. How does our body function? Electrical impulse from our brain is telling us what to do. And that day, the electrical impulse from his brain to his heart stopped. changing a receptacle in a dining room. Okay? So just think about it. We know you're going to, again, continue to do it. Just check it before you do it. Again, could save your life. Okay. High side, high side, high side. Alrighty. So we like to talk about a Mylar balloon because some of you may have kids or grandkids at home. And will that Mylar balloon conduct electricity? We'll show you here. But here's what's important about that Mylar balloon. You ever go into a fair, county carnival, fireman's carnival, whatever it may be, and when you go through with your kids, the first person you see is the balloon vendor, okay? And our kids or grandkids want to have a balloon, so we're going to buy them the balloon. And they're beating their brother or sister with the balloon, they're beating you with the balloon, and that lasts for 30 seconds, right? And then they forget about the balloon, okay? Here's the important part. What's attached to that balloon? Nylon, Teflon coated string. Where do we then attach that string to? Your wrist, your child's wrist, or the stroller we may be pushing them in. And we're just out having fun, enjoying the carnival, the fair, whatever it may be. 8-10 foot of string with a Mylar balloon attached to the top. If that Mylar balloon, if you look in those situations at those carnivals, there's a lot of low-hanging wire feeding all the different vendors that are there. And if that Mylar balloon happened to come in contact, we're not really looking, right? We're just out getting something to eat, having fun. 8-10 foot Mylar balloon. If that Mylar balloon comes in contact with energized electrical facilities, will it conduct electricity? We'll show you. Hot. If the wind cooperates. $7,000 volts passing through the Mylar balloon down the string to you, your child, or the stroller you happen to be pushing them in, causing injury or possibly death.
Too much wind today. So
we have a saying, it applies to a lot of what we do, maybe at work and at home, and that is look up and live. I'm sure a lot of heavy equipment out there, backhoes, track hoes, and having to do some work that you do, okay? If you're doing that type of work, dump truck, just like that, okay? I always use a paving machine, but if somebody's backing you in to dump a load of stone, dump a load of topsoil, okay? Does that load of stone or topsoil need to be right here, right underneath the line? No, I'm sure if you dump that load of topsoil or stone over here away from the line, there's probably another piece of machinery that can move that stone or topsoil to where it needs to be. But if you were to put that dump truck up into energized 7,200 volts, it's not going to be a good situation, okay? So if you happen to operate heavy equipment, you're swinging that arm around, backhoe arm, track hoe arm, or putting up that dump truck, before you do that, take 30 seconds. If you're in a truck, put it in park, hit the air brake, open the door, look up and live. Trust me, about twice, if not 3 times a month, someone puts equipment up into energized facilities, okay? Just remember what you're doing. Have a spotter looking out for you if you're energized, working around energized facilities. Okay, if you were to come in contact with energized electrical facilities, what is our body made up of? Water. 60 to 70% water. Water a good conductor of electricity? Probably one of the best, okay? Again, if you were to come out of your home, got to get to work, okay? Storms had come through, wire down across your car. Oh my God, I got to get to work. I'm just going to move that wire, the power's out, okay? And you don't know if that line is energized or not. It may be laying on the car, not doing anything. You ever happen to see a live wire laying on the ground, dancing around, sparking and arcing? Okay? But it will turn this macadam that we're standing on into glass. Okay? You don't know if it's energized or not. It could be laying on the ground, not doing a thing. But you don't know if it's energized. If you were to come out, it's all across your car, got to get to work, oh my God, I can't be late, walk over and grab a hold of that wire to move it off the car and it's energized. What is the electrical impulse from your brain going to tell your hand to do? It's going to tell you to grab a hold. Okay? Are you going to be able to let go? You're not. We blew a fuse here in the beginning for demonstration purposes only. Out on the system, you're not going to be able to send enough fault current back to actually open that fuse. That was a 10 kVA fuse. We have 200 kVA fuses out on the system. Depends where you are. Okay? Grab a hold of that wire. The electrical impulse from your brain is going to tell you to grab a hold. We don't try to be gross. You can Google this all you want. But more than likely what will happen is your arm will burn off if you survive. Okay? And what you see here today is going to be the best of what you see, because over about 72 hours, all the skin will fall off. It's an electrical burn, okay? It's not a good situation. So again, the importance of understanding that nothing you have in your possession will allow you to touch energized electrical facilities. We're going to show you the best thing that we can do to simulate the human body is to use a hot dog. Hot dog is the same consistency as our fingers, less the little bone on the inside. We're hot, Steve. If you come in contact with energized 7,200 volts, that is what will happen. You will not be able to let go. 7,000 volts will pass through your body. If you're lucky, you'll be able to send enough fault current back to open the fuse. Clear. Now, we wear a leather glove over top of our rubber tested equipment, okay? This leather glove, nothing fancy about them, okay? You can go to a hardware store and buy a leather glove. Next time you do, and a lot of you in the field may wear the leather gloves. But if you happen to read the label on that glove or package, okay, they're going to tell you they are electrically tested. Are they electrically tested for you to climb a ladder and touch? This is a piece of overhead service wire coming from the pole to the side of your home down into your meter base. Can you touch this overhead service wire? Absolutely not. What do you call, this is what we call two hot legs and a system neutral. What do you call the black coating over top of the energized two hot legs? Anybody? Insulation. Number one answer we get. As a qualified electrical worker, I give it 0 insulation value. 0. It is simply a black coating to protect those two hot legs from the system neutral. That is it. Squirrel compromised it, tree compromised it, you can't see it. You get up to paint the eave, take the Christmas lights down, clean out the gutters. I've seen it with my own eyes, okay? Rubbing up against this wire, like this. I saw a gentleman on a ladder with his maybe 8 to 10-year-old son with a 2x4 pushing this out of the way so he could climb the ladder. Will that 2x4 conduct electricity? Absolutely. Wood's not a great conductor, but it will conduct, okay? Nothing you have in your possession will allow you to touch even this. All it takes is a pinhole in that protection. And you grab a hold of this wire. If the electrocution does not kill you, the fall off the ladder may. Okay? It's very important. A lot of folks think they can get up and touch this. If you need this removed or taken down to do something at home in our service territory, you give us well in advance notice, weeks. Like we can come out on a Saturday, take it down for you, de-energize it, whatever it may be, so you can do what you need to do and come back that evening and put it back up if you're willing to be out of power for that time frame. Okay? But we will do it for you to keep you safe. So we'll show you that so-called leather electrically tested glove will do nothing for you. Hot. Again, 7,000 volts passing through your body there. You're not going to be able to let go. That leather glove will do nothing for you. Steve doesn't even have to touch that wire. It'll jump right across to you. Clear. Ladder safety. Aluminum, wood, or fiberglass. Okay? We're asked about fiberglass sticks all the time. Fiberglass ladders. We use a fiberglass stick to do everything we do every day. But our sticks are stored properly, they're cleaned every day, and they're tested to 15,000 volts. And when we're operating them or using them, we're using our PPE to keep us safe. Fiberglass ladder. Maybe you have one at home or here at work, on the side of the truck, in the back of the dump box, in your garage at home, in your shed at home, all allowing that fiberglass ladder to become gouged, grooved, and dirty and conduct electricity. Even a fiberglass ladder. Wooden ladder, tree on a wire. Will a tree conduct electricity if it's laying on a wire? Absolutely. What's in a tree? Water, sap, okay? All allowing that tree to conduct electricity. A lot of folks think it's wood. We're good. We can use it to push that wire off of the road. If you're able to walk up to it, which we'll talk about, and get even close enough to that wire with that 2x4 or stick, that stick may not do anything for you, okay? Again, the importance of the ladder. If you have to use that ladder, OSHA tells you as a non-qualified electrical worker, you must maintain 10 feet to single phase, 7,200 volts, 3-phase, 12,000 phase to phase, or 120/240, your service wire, 10 feet per OSHA as a non-qualified electrical worker. So we'll show you. Hot Bill, put that ladder up and come in contact with electrical facilities. This one may be a little bit harder to see because the sun's hitting right on the right side of the ladder. You may be able to see the blue arc and flash, but if you're on that ladder, at this point, 7,000 volts passing through the ladder, through you on the ladder to go to where? Ground, Mother Earth. Okay, it's going to go through you. And again, if the electrocution does not injure or possibly kill you, the fall off of that ladder may. Clareville, okay, depending on how high you are. And for our first responders, this is one I like to talk about because our first responders are out there serving and protecting us. They've worked all day because most of them are volunteer, okay? It's 90 degrees and now it's 3 a.m. and they've been fighting a fire for 6 hours. And the last thing they do is, obviously, they got to clean up all their equipment when they're done. They're tired, they're hot, and they're gassed. But imagine if you ever used a 30-foot extension ladder and you have a 30-foot extension ladder up against the house and you grab a hold of that ladder and you pull that ladder back. What happens? It kind of gives in the middle, okay? It's extended and it wants to give. 2 firefighters pulled that ladder back off the house and it kind of wiggled a little bit and they thought they lost control. And guess what was above them? The energized line. They thought was de-energized. And they laid that ladder back into energized primary facilities and 2 firefighters lost their lives that evening. If you're on a scene, if you're doing work for us, make sure you understand what is energized and what is de-energized and that it's out and grounded. It's very important. Okay? Underground. What are we required to dial before we do any excavation? You're going to go out and do excavation for us, digging around a transformer. What are you required to have? 811. Okay? It is a law. Again, Steve and I's main job every day. We make sure our contractors, any contractor, even a homeowner, if you are a homeowner and you are placing a tree in the backyard, redoing your fence, putting in a pool, putting in a mailbox post out front, and you are doing it using mechanical means, the law tells you you are required to make the 811 call 3 business days prior to the start of that excavation. The only reason you do not need one is if you are hand digging with a shovel. Our advice to you, if you are even hand digging, make the 811 call. As a homeowner, it's free. It's going to take you about 3 minutes. Let us come out and mark the underground facilities for you. Red is electric, yellow is gas. The 2 most important things you're going to want to know where they are underground. Water's blue, sewer's green. You don't want to hit it. Orange is communication. Okay? It's very important and it's the law. You are required to do it. Okay? What Steve and I do every day, that primary piece of cable carrying 7,200 volts. When it's installed at a spec of this, right? Now, we come out, put in the cable, we leave. What's the last thing that happens on an excavation site? Final grade, landscaping, okay? And we're long gone. And the landscapers or the excavators need to bring it to final grade. And what was the spec of this is now this. I've investigated primary facilities 4 inches under the ground. 4 inches. We did not install them that way. Okay, and we can't tell you how deep they are. When they were installed at a spec of this. Okay, so it's very important. Electric and gas, the two most important things. And we always do a plug because we work very closely with our gas company. If you were to hit a gas line and there is a release of gas, do you understand what you're required to do? You must first stop your excavation and leave the scene. Someone is required to make a 911 call. 911. You must make that call if there is a release of gas. It's a law. Start an evacuation by knocking on doors. Do not use your cell phones. Do not ring a doorbell. They are all ignition points. Okay? Start an evacuation. Get everybody away from that site and wait for the gas company to get there. But the very most important thing, making the 911 call. And if you're familiar with it, maybe you are, but Ewing, New Jersey, about 4 years ago now, contractor excavating near gas lines, hit a gas line. They were working for the gas company. They called the gas company. Hey, we hit one of your lines. Gas is releasing. The gas company showed up. They were working to make repairs on the line 2 hours. 2 hours after they hit it, when it exploded, leveling 54 homes and killing one person. In those 2 hours, at no time was 911 called to start an evacuation of all the homes in that area. So it's very important that you do that if you hit a gas line and there's a release of gas. Okay? It's very important to have the 811 call. It's very important to check your Carl response. Those that place them know what a Carl response is. But your Carl response, you're hot, Bill. Your Carl response is going to tell you how all facility owners responded to your ticket. Cleared, marked, conflict, whatever it may be. Energized 7,000 volts. You dig into that energized facility. Again, when you dig into something that's energized at 7,000 volts, it's probably going to throw you across the yard. Will that wooden handled shovel do anything for you? Will a fiberglass handled shovel do anything for you? It will not. Nothing you had. The only thing allowing Bill to do that demonstration is his PPE. That is it. Okay? Everything that we are doing here today, we are trained not to do. Okay? We're not trained to induce faults into an energized 7,000 volt system. Okay? But our PPE is what's allowing us to do it. For our first responders, anybody a first responder? Volunteer first? Awesome. Thank you for what you do for your communities. But we talk about your turnout gear. Your turnout gear is meant to keep you safe for fighting a fire, helping someone on a car scene. Maybe the folks in the field are wearing rubber boots. And we are by no means picking on our first responders, but a wire down, you're waiting for the electric company to show up. It's hours, especially during a storm. Could be a long time, right? But after time, the county's calling you, get the road open, get the road open. And your response is, there's a wire across the road. I don't know if it's energized, then we're not approaching it or touching it, okay? But I've seen it. Firefighter would walk up and think, I got a rubber boot on. That rubber boot will keep me safe. Ours are tested to 15,000 volts. What's in the bottom of that turnout gear? Steel shank for our firefighters. Steel shank. How often do you change your turnout gear, roughly? They tell me about 10 years for volunteer firemen, okay? 10 years. 10 years of walking through burning buildings, through car debris and dry rot to the bottom of that boot, okay? Compromising the bottom of that boot. And if you were to walk over and try to kick an energized line, you don't know if it's energized, and you try to kick it off the road, this is what will happen. Hot. If the bottom of your boot has been compromised, steel shank in the bottom, and it contacts energized electrical facilities, injured or possibly worse. Nothing you have in your possession will allow you to touch energized electrical facilities. I know you're probably tired of hearing me say it, but it's a very important message, okay? Alrighty, we got one more, and this one's really important, especially if you have teenagers that are about to drive or just started driving, because what we are learning is they are not teaching this in school, and it may be something that you don't know as well. Vehicle in the utility pole. Wires come down across your vehicle. Where is the safest place for you to be? Inside the vehicle. Why? Okay. So the number one answer I usually get, rubber tires. Okay. What's inside of a rubber tire? Steel belts. Okay. Rubber tires will help, but much like Carl the Crow sitting up there, okay, he is of the same potential, as are you. If you hit a utility pole, wires come down across your vehicle, you are of the same potential as the energy passing through the vehicle. You are safest in that vehicle, okay? Stay in that vehicle. For our first responders, you roll up on a scene, it's 2 o'clock, and there's a wire down across the vehicle. Do not exit that apparatus. Put it in reverse and back up a safe distance that we'll talk about here at the end. You do not know if that line is energized, okay? Wait for your electric company to get there and tell you it's out, grounded. Here's why. Do you ever take your son or daughter to a pond, or grandkids to a pond fishing, and you're bait and hook, okay, and they reach down and pick up a rock and throw the rock in the pond? What happens when the rock hits the pond other than scaring the fish? You get a ripple effect, okay? Rings, if you will, ripples out across the water, okay? Electricity entering into that vehicle or even into that backhoe that you've dug into underground is entering the ground and is creating what are called ground gradients. Rings, okay? Can't see them, can't smell them, can't taste them. Trust me, they're there. Each one of those rings is a different ground gradient. If you were to exit the vehicle, okay, what's going to happen today if you hit a utility pole at 45 miles an hour? You're going to first get an airbag to the face, okay? You're going to have a broken arm, broken leg, bruised ribs. And you come through, you come to your senses, and you open your eyes. Oh my God, there's a line across my vehicle. I got to get out of here. And you open the door and you step out. You survived the car crash. You may have just electrocuted yourself. This foot is in one ground gradient. Your other foot and the vehicle is in a separate ground gradient. You just became a human jumper cable. Energy is going to pass up this leg through you to get out the other side. Okay? Thus, the importance of staying in that vehicle. As a first responder, you need to coach those people from a safe distance to stay in that vehicle. Okay? They're going to be screaming for help. Okay? And they're in their minds, they're thinking, why are they not helping me? Okay, there's a wire down, and what we don't want you to do is become the second victim. Okay? Now, you're in that vehicle, and the vehicle catches fire. Can you get out of that vehicle safely? Absolutely. I'm going to tell you how. So, first off, where is the wire in relation to the door you need to exit? Is the wire right above your driver's side, passenger side door? If it is, should you open the door? No. You've got to try to get to the back seat. Okay? Broken leg, airbag to the face, but you've got to get to the back seat. Get to the back seat, open up the back door. Do not step out. Use the door to pull yourself up onto the door jamb of the vehicle. Okay? Once you get yourself up onto the door jamb of the vehicle, if you're able to, cross your hands across your chest, and there's a reason for it. Now, you need to make a small jump out of that vehicle. Okay? You do not need to set the world long jump record. You need to be able to jump out of that vehicle 2 feet together and or shoulder width apart, landing that way, okay? The main, most important thing is maintaining your balance. Could be hard if you have a broken leg, okay? Small jump, shoulder width apart is probably the best if you can do it, okay? Now, if your leg happens to be compromised from the accident you were just in and your knee buckles when you land, what's your body's natural reaction going to be? What's going to be right aside of you when you jump out? The door. And if you grab a hold of that door, you are in 2 different potentials. The vehicle is in one, your feet is in a second. Do your best, and that's why we say put your hands across your chest, to try to take away that ability to either reaching for the door or touching the ground. Okay? Now, we made it out of the vehicle. You can do 2 things. They tell you can hop. I just hit a pole at 45 miles an hour with an airbag to the face. Probably not hopping, but if you're in an excavator and happen to dig into underground facilities, you can jump out of there and hop if that's easier for you. This is what I feel is easiest. Out of the ground, shuffle your feet, heel to toe. Shuffle your feet, heel to toe, never lifting your feet off of the ground. and try it sometime, okay? Sometimes it's easy. Rubber-soled shoes, okay? Rubber here in the dirt, on the side of the road, the berms, stones, whatever it may be. Heel the toe, never lifting your feet off of the ground. Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. Okay? Don't overextend yourself. Trust me, the vehicle's on fire. You're going to be pretty anxious. But if you overextend yourself and you're compromised, you're going to be able to drag this leg forward. For our women in high-heeled shoes, even harder. Okay? Dragging this foot back up. Shuffle, heel the toe. Okay? Heel the toe, shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. How far do you need to shuffle? Google tells you 35 feet. 35 feet. Remember when I talked about our son or daughter or grandkids picking up the rock and throwing it in the pond? When that rock hit the pond, how far did those rings extend? How big was the rock? What was the condition of the water that day? How much water is in the ground today? What's the soil type? All different factors we can't tell you. So this is our advice to you. If you hit this utility pole right here, I want you to shuffle to the next utility pole. In the field, it could be 100 to 150 feet before you take the first step. If you're in a town environment, okay, like downtown here where you're not a little more remote, I would go at least 2 poles away from that scene before you take the first step. As first responders, that is where you should back up to, and that is where you should be coaching the people in that car from to keep yourself safe until your electric company gets there and tells you it's out and grounded. We're going to show you. Our green guy used to be yellow, but we've electrocuted him quite a few times. And he is going to try to attempt to get to that vehicle. He got through the ground gradient and got to the vehicle. We're hot, Bill. And when he got to the vehicle and touched it, energy passing into that vehicle and passing into you. You become the human jumper cable. You are in 2 different ground gradients. Okay? Clear. Stay a safe distance. If you're in a piece of equipment and you've dug into something, swung the arm into energized facilities, okay, of the excavator, if you have to stay in it, if you have to get out of it, that is how you can get out of that safely. Okay, we talked about a lot. I don't know how much time I took, but in the hour or so that I've been talking to you, we talked about quite a bit. The small amount of electricity it actually takes to injure us or kill us. 50 milliamps. Little bulb in the window. Okay, I know my wife has them there. It's a 7.5 watt light bulb. 7.5. That bulb draws 62.5 milliamps of electricity to operate. 50 is enough to end our day. And if you're working your overhead facilities, look up and live. Thank you to the folks here at Lewis for asking us to come out. Rob, I know I had worked with, I think it was Rob at first. He was up to give a demonstration to us actually on what all you do, and asked us to coordinate and come down here and do a demonstration for all of you. And to our folks in the field, you know, the importance, make sure it's out and grounded before you do what you need to do for us or any contractor out there, okay? Nothing we do is so important that we can't take the time to do it safely. Thank you again. Stay safe.